Hi, we're up in the Yorkshire Moors for a 2-day green laning session. This is the first time we have ventured up to this part of the country, and the scenery was very nice. Day 1, we led a group of fellow glass members, which is always a lovely way to meet up with friends, old and new. First day saw a couple of good river crossings, which made for some fun footage and also some gnarly lanes. The most memorable part of the day of what looked like a fairly simple grassy lane. Boy did it turn out to be anything but easy. First the Shogun's wheels just spinning and making no progress. Then Paul in his Isuzu with mud tyres and sliding sideways down the bank. This gave us the opportunity to get the winches out and a real group effort to get him back up on the track. Day 2 we've paired up with Darren to do the east half of the famous coast to coast, ending in Robin Hood's Bay. So sit back and enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
So there had been a lot of snow actually the couple of days before now, so the river levels were quite high. That's Chris going through, splashing as he always does, trying to get me wet. This is Henry behind in a D3, driving really sensibly and carefully, like all drivers should do. And then behind that was Paul in his Isuzu, having a bit of fun as he goes through. And following up at the back of our group is Daniel in his Disco 4. So we were the lead of the two groups, and there were 4 of our cars in the thing. So that was the first river crossing. This is the second river crossing. And we've been given some good advice on this one, actually, to head towards this stump on the right-hand side to begin with, and then straighten up. And that was really good advice, because you notice as Chris goes, he goes slightly to the right. You can see he starts dipping down a little bit on the right-hand side just there, because it is actually quite deep down there. But because we all managed to watch Chris do that, the time Henry got to do it, you'll watch Henry's line, he sticks over to this side a bit better, and therefore doesn't go down that deep a bit. And that's always the advantage of not being the first one through the water, of course. So this is Henry going through. At the other end, nice and easy. And after Henry it was Paul, and here he comes. By which stage we got quite comfortable of what the best line to take through this, because although it wasn't really that deep, the water was flowing fast, as you can see, and that could be dangerous if we didn't do it right. And then there's Daniel coming through with his D4. There he comes, nice and sensibly and carefully. As you can see, all of us just heading out there first, before then just turning slightly to the right, not too much, to get ourselves through there. So with no drama whatsoever. So that's 2 river crossings done quite early on this Saturday. Then after that we had some really nice what I call gnarly lanes. So obviously this is Paul coming down this gnarly bit here. You can see the rocks as they're going, making us bounce from side to side a little bit as he goes down. And after Paul, that's there for Daniel coming as well. You can see how big some of those rocks are. Take nice and easy. He's got really good ground clearance there. Still just knocking slightly from side to side, but you need the ground clearance because it sticks up the middle, obviously, with the ruts on either side. Just doing that nice and gently and carefully. And then this is Chris just a bit further down the lane, and you can see it's even more so just here on our right hand side. Chris's left, you can just see his left tire just about to go down there. And that's the thing, when you get quite a few vehicles using the same tracks, then obviously it starts making 2 ruts where the tracks are, and then when it pours with rain, and we've had snow and rain, everything else, it just washes those away as it all goes into those tracks, so it makes them much worse. So at this stage we're doing quite well. We're tracking down, so I was out the car filming them, and then we wondered why Chris had stopped. So we got in front of Chris, and this was why. 2 massive boulders here. We had tried moving them actually a bit, but we could hardly touch them all. So we thought maybe Chris could actually get up on that little embankment there, and if he could get up there, he could possibly drive around it. It was a bit of a risk, and actually watching it now, it would have been a bit of a silly thing, to be honest, because if he'd slid at any stage, he would just slid into the edge of that rock there and put a big gash in the side of the car. So Paul is a very experienced off-roader, so he's giving all the signals, and Chris is trying to follow. But as you can see, the tyres just aren't letting it happen. So we all tried our best to move the rocks, and we did actually get them to go downhill a little bit, because there was just no way Chris was going to be able to get that done from there. So first of all, the other group with Ian had caught us up at this stage as well. So they tried first of all the best we could to see if something like that could have happened. So this is Ian, who was leading the second group. He's actually our glass rep. So he's the gentleman that arranges all these events for us, which we really appreciate, because they're brilliant. It gets us all out together once a month. So Chris tries again, then as you can see, nearly hits the front there, and that's when we said no, it's not going to happen. So we get the winches out, and some very clever stuff. I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't just go around that tree. It actually hooks onto a pulley around the second tree, around the back, and that pulley allows the winch on the Shogun to actually come at a completely different angle. And that was a very, very heavy rock, made to look fairly easy from there. And then Paul comes in just to help make sure it tips just there before we get the stuff off. And that means then we can continue down the lane. So this is a Henry following behind. So this is the same lane, but without the big boulder now in it. It was a good lane, this was, and it was good to move the boulder, because although it would have been very hard for us to get around it, then it would have been a problem for everybody else after us as well. So now it's out of the way, so anybody else can use the lane after we have. Because it's a nice lane that goes down to a nice water crossing at the bottom again. So I just popped in front again to be ahead of Chris. So it's a lot of walking when you're doing the filming, because you've got to get in front of the cars, and then you've got to film them and then get in front of them again. And they don't like waiting, so I have to go quickly. So although it's been very cold every other day, the sun actually shone on this day. It was really very pleasant to be out and about in it. There's no problems from that side whatsoever. Come down this slip slide a bit just here. So we kept the same order at this time of the day. So after Chris, this would be Henry coming down. And then here's Paul. And I don't think I've filmed Daniel, because he was just cleaning his hands from helping with the boulder. He'd been really helpful with the boulder. So this is the water crossing just at the bottom of that lane just on. So the water crossing is quite easy, but there actually is a steep hill coming up, steep hill and a sharp bend, as they always seem to have as they go up there. So Chris was going up there as I'm filming Henry coming through the same water crossing. And telling Chris to keep going, because you don't want the cars to stop halfway up the hill. It makes it much harder for them to start again. So there goes Henry up the hill after him. It's nice being in a shorter wheelbase vehicle, because obviously manoeuvrability is much, much better. This is Paul. Paul's got very good mud tyres on his car, and it's a very, very capable car. It is a long car, so he's got to just be a bit careful as he manoeuvres it around. And Daniel's, not that he needs it here, but of course Daniel's has got he could raise the suspension to make it really high, because that's often one of the problems with the ground clearance on the cars. So we all got through that obstacle nice and easily. And then we moved on, and actually didn't film the next bit because I was in the car at the time, but I was in the Shogun with Chris, and we started going up what didn't look to be too hard a grassy hill, and we just, all the wheels started spinning and everything else, even with the rear locker on and everything else, and in the ratio gearbox. But our tyres weren't mud tyres. So we got out of the way then, and Paul, because he's got mud tyres on his, I think it might be triple octaves, but I'm not sure, but he's definitely got the mud tyres. Paul then tried to do it, so because we thought if they could get up, maybe we'll get our traction aids out to help us afterwards. But his car actually then got just a bit further than ours did, but then it slid sideways all the way down to the bottom. And there was nothing you could do about it. It was just a sideways slide. So we got the winch out and started to try to winch, and we put it on the right hand side of the back of Paul's, thinking it would help pull him towards us. But as you can see, as the car's going, it's sort of keeping him down at the bottom there. So the angle on the winch line is just getting worse and worse as it's going. So we're doing it as gently as we can. I think it might be Dave at this stage who's doing the actual control of the winch by the looks of it. I remember I did ask Dave at one stage, so this is probably Dave doing this bit, but it just wasn't pulling towards the gate as that winch cable now is getting, like 45 degrees and even more angle there. So it just wasn't going to work to get him out that way. And this was even after we had moved the car back to straighten the angle up. So this was our second attempt. We'd done it first of all with the angle a bit sharper than that. So when you think we might just be getting there, I might just be able to, but no, he was almost touching the fence there. So then Henry, in his lighter D3 with the mud tyres on as well, he tried to let it go. Again, couldn't get in front, so we tried to move him sideways, and with the aid of the traction aids, we got him up. And then from there, we managed to use him as an anchor, effectively, to use a pulley on the cable so that we could actually pull him sideways. But we also used this digger. Luckily, it was a very nice neighbour who helped with the digger. So we had the digger in front and that on the side to get him. And then, of course, it was getting Henry back out. So even though it was downhill for Henry to get out, it was so slippy. He got very, very close to that fence post there. So it got really hard, even for the last bit, just to get him back out. And then we'll have to all go back, reverse back down the lane we're on. We've been speaking to the guy who lived in the house. It's a big stately home type house. It's huge. And he said a lot of 4x4 vehicles get stuck on this uphill lane. And he bought this for a job he was doing. So he actually wasn't a very experienced driver of it all, but he was very kind and he came and bought that and to help us. And I'm not sure without that how we would have finished getting them out. It would have been a lot harder job because none of us, there was a way you could have gone around the other way possibly and come in at it from the top end. So we could have maybe used that to winch up a little bit. That was the only other option we were thinking. So there were no trees or anything else in the field or anything to hook any other winches onto. And we had no land anchors with us. So that's a lesson learned because I do have them at home. So after we did that, we had some lunch and we carried on a bit. So it's been getting a bit later in the afternoon by this stage. It was about, I think, about 3 o'clock, 3:15. So Henry had work later on that day, so Henry had to leave us. So this is Chris coming up this lane here, with obviously Paul behind and then Daniel behind him. We still had some really good lanes actually. It was, but no need for the winch for the rest of the day, which was good. So as we're coming up here, as you can see, and Daniel's very sensibly keeping that nice distance. So the idea is, as you go up obstacles, you let the car in front of you get up the obstacle first before you do it, so they get into any trouble, they can reverse back easily and they're not going to come into you. So he keeps his distance really sensibly, as Daniel always does, and drives it very carefully. And up he goes. So up the slope he goes. Now this is actually day 2 now, so we're now on to day 2. So Chris, myself and Darren stayed in a beautiful cottage with a lovely pub next door, so a lovely evening meal, and we set off to do this one half of the coast to coast route. So we met it in the middle, fairly near Rutland Rig, but not at Rutland Rig. Met it in the middle, and this was the first of the lanes, and it's a very small river crossing, but this snow had been around from the day before, and we weren't sure how slippy it would be. It was a bit slippy in places, but it seemed okay. We walked it first. That's actually Darren's dog. You just see just playing. It's a lovely, friendly dog. Stayed with us as well. So we're doing the coast to coast, and the idea is we'd normally start at Robin Hood Bay, but we're doing it in reverse, so we'll end up at Robin Hood Bay. So this is Darren coming up. So Darren was in the other group Saturday, Ian, and he's with us today. And Darren often comes out to us, and he's got a lot of knowledge and expertise, so it's great having him along because he's really helpful and gives good advice. So you can see it seems a lot snowier. It was definitely colder on the Sunday than it was on the Saturday. Colder filming as well. There's a lot more snow on the ground, but it's just that we're in a slightly different part of the Yorkshire Moors. But just make it very picturesque and nice. And you can see these lanes are really good. Lots of what I call like the typical type of lanes you hope to see. Quite tight, yes, but steep. So this is steep because I'm a lot further down than he is, and good little rocks to take you over, so you can enjoy the route down. So I was just filming some of them as they were coming down. It's much easier because it meant I was walking downhill first, rather than what I normally have to do is actually walk up the hills after them. As you can see, Chris is in there nicely warm with his coat on and all the windows up and heating on, and heated seats, so he was nice and warm. And here comes down on the same bit. So the day was going well at this stage. So they were challenging lanes, but we were doing very well. And then a bit further on, I said it almost looks like it's a different day, but it's the same day. So where we had snow before, actually in this bit here, there wasn't snow. So we're going in and out of the snow line, basically. But this was really steep coming up. So it's coming up this lane here. And I think this is quite near Ampleforth, which is a famous boarding school, Catholic boarding school, private. I know they've got a very good rugby team because we used to have to play against them many, many years ago. There goes Darren. Although the lanes were challenging, we were managing them nicely at this stage. So getting nice and confident, thinking, yep. And then we got to this, and I tried to move that log, and couldn't really. It was so heavy. So I said to Chris, "Oh, you can drive around it. No problem, you can drive around it." And this is what happened. And actually, I had to put the camera down to go help him, because what then happened was he got trapped on it and wedged on it. So it took age to get off, but then we managed to move off afterwards. But I didn't film it just purely because I was having to help move it all. But it was thanks to Dan's clever thinking with some ratchets and winches, we managed to move the log because it got stuck underneath the car. So this is us just a little bit later on the same day, as you see, back into the snow again. It's absolutely beautiful. So going up into the snow lines. So yeah, so the winch had been used once today, and also the day before. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you really liked it. If you did, obviously, please do subscribe to see the videos come out. We normally get about one out a month, so we do a trip away every month. So thank you very much for that, and hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.